My name is Lance Douglas. This is I think it's my 5th episode for Notes of the Goats podcast. I'm here today with Luke Schroeder, and I'm going to do a brief intro of Luke. I'm going to go by my notes here just a little bit, just to highlight some times, just so I can get everything correct. Luke is a 4-time All-American. Luke is also a 2-time national champ. Luke's high school PRs are 1483 in the 110s, and he almost broke 38 in the 300 hurdles. He was 38.06. Here at Whitewater, Luke just opened up a couple weeks ago, and he ran 764 at Alumni, and then his PRs in the 200 are 2096, and I believe his junior year he ran 1420, which ranks him 4th all-time here at UW La Crosse. And I watched his outdoor PR in the 400 hurdles. I'm sure that'll change soon, but he ran 52:34 outdoors, I think, as a sophomore at Whitewater University. And he's a 2-time national champ also on the 4x1, and his time currently ranks 2nd all-time. So that can obviously change over time too. Thanks for taking out your time today, Luke.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate you. And as we get started here, I kind of wanted to start off with some beginning times of Luke. So when he was younger and he was in northern Wisconsin, I want to talk about the early days first. And Luke, from what you can remember in the past, what are some of the first things you remember about track and field?
Yeah, so I started out doing the Hershey track and field games. Some people might know what that is. Probably when I was like 2nd grade. I was a 100-meter runner and a broad jump. I didn't do the long jump. They did the broad jump. So multiple-time state champ in the broad jump. And then I started doing Junior Olympics in 5th grade. Multiple-time state champion in that as well. So I got a really early start to track, but really didn't start taking it serious or kind of serious until like middle school and high school. But I started out as a jumper and then herniated the disc in my back and couldn't jump anymore. And so then they converted me into a 300-meter hurdler because I wasn't fast enough to do the sprints and I couldn't do long distance. So that was about the easiest event that I could get into, and that's how I started hurdling.
Awesome. And if you can, so it's weird that you mentioned the Hershey stuff. That's the first memory kind of when I interviewed Nathan Cumberbatch. He talked about the Hershey's where he'd run the 200, he'd run those kinds of events, like the events that you end up not doing later in life.
Yeah. Those
types of things. And I wanted to talk about the good and the bad kind of your scenario is a little bit different than most people I've spoken to about growing up. Usually your parents have an impact on you, but having a father that was excelled in sports to a high level, I wanted to talk about kind of the good and the bad of the pressures of that. And I think that maybe is a little bit more in depth than most people would ask questions about, but I do want to talk about that. What was your dad like growing up when it came to sports?
Yeah, you would think he would pressure me more, but he was very, very laid back, let me do kind of what I wanted to do. Growing up in football, I was always into football. I didn't like track, but he made sure I did track because that was always his favorite sport. But I grew up as a quarterback. He always wanted me to play that. And then when I started tackle football, I moved to receiver, which was funny. That's what position he played. And then in high school, I ended up picking up his same number. I wore 84 in high school. And, I just had a very similar upbringing. But unfortunately, like my dad, I was a very, very late bloomer. So I wasn't as good of high school athlete as I maybe could have been if I bloomed a little late. But he, I kind of, from his point of view, I kind of saw success as an option, and not as much as an option, but just like what needs to happen. Like, a lot of people just do stuff for fun, but I have always put expectations on myself that I need to be the best because that's how he was growing up. And I know as a world-class athlete, as my dad, I've just felt like I always need to get better to get to a point where he was. So there was a lot of pressure that I think I put on myself.
Yeah.
That maybe he didn't put on me, but I kind of understood that, but I don't think if I had that, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
What I've found when I've talked to athletes, I've coached for a long time, coming up on 18 years, and what I've found is the better of an athlete the parents are, typically the less expectations they have of their kids, and the underperforming like parents, the ones that maybe got cut from their JV team in high school and things like that, the pressures from them to overcompensate for maybe their shortcomings.
Yeah.
I've found that to be the highest pressure scenarios. When I've coached kids of professional athletes before, the number one thing that they ask me is, well, I hope he's having fun.
Yeah.
And then the number one thing I get from the parents who never really achieved anything, like time-wise, state-wise, whatever, is, when is he going to get a Division I scholarship? Why isn't he running faster?
Yeah.
Those types of things. So I wanted to ask that question because I know you just have a different perspective on it. And if the people that are listening don't know, Bill was a wide receiver here at La Crosse. In the NFL, he got close to 5,000 yards receiving. He played with, I believe he played with Green Bay, New England, Tampa, and Detroit.
Yep.
I don't know if maybe not Tampa. I don't remember. I think it's Tampa.
He finished with Tampa.
Yeah, with Tampa, and he had 28 touchdowns in the NFL. And I can tell you that every single touchdown in the NFL is hard. So like a lot of people don't understand how that stat line did. But his longest stay was with Green Bay. So he was somebody I watched when I was growing up. Is like, man, Bill came from D3. I think that's awesome. And, he had so many opportunities in the NFL. I thought that was kind of a cool scenario that I get to sit down in the sun. I think that's a cool thing. So versus as you've matured, so when you were younger and your dad was finishing his NFL career, maybe those are some of your first memories. How old are you?
22.
22. So I think he finished in like 04
or 04, 05, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So as you've gotten older, do you think your perspective on your father has changed, and how?
I wouldn't say it's changed at all. I mean, growing up, his friends were which people would consider to be famous people, and because of that, I don't really see that like people in like a spotlight. Growing up, Brett Favre lived 5 houses up the street from me, and I just thought of him as a normal guy.
Yeah.
So I would say that was like honestly the main thing that shaped my growing up is not like how I view my dad, but how I just view everybody I meet. I've met a lot of quote unquote celebrities in my life just through my dad, but I think of them as just normal people, which I feel like shapes how I kind of operate too, maybe in just like the D3 sphere of things. Some people might know me that I've never met before, but I don't think of myself any higher because I don't view anybody else as higher as well.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, that's just really shaped me. I mean, I just look at my dad as just any other guy. I make fun of him all the time.
For sure.
Love to talk shit with him. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I wanted to get your perspective. Obviously, we all have different perspectives on how our parents play a role in our athletic career, for sure. And that could be either the driving force or maybe, some parents view sports as a waste of time. I've dealt with that too. I've had kids who are fantastic athletes and their parents think that, why isn't he working after school versus why is he going for runs type of thing. And so I kind of see the perspective from both sides. So thanks for your input on that.
Yeah. No, I mean, my mom also was an All-American here in track, and so just like having both parents who were successful in track and field here, that was just, kind of an expectation for me as well. So it was really cool to have 2 successful parents in track and field. And
Did they meet here?
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I never thought I was going to end up here, and it's funny that I'm here in the same shoes that they were 30 years ago or however old they are. But,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some goals for 2026. So some things that will help me kind of understand as I see the season unfold and I get to see change throughout the year. What would make 2026 fulfilling for you? And we can go into times, we can go into places or team wise, but what would make it fulfilling for you?
Winning 2 team titles. That's number one thing on my plate. In the past, I've always chased individual accolades. And I think just the injuries and everything going wrong for me has kind of changed that. That's why I've kind of stuck around here in lacrosse. I've really bought into the program that we have here, and that's why I'm back for a 5th year, is to win another team title in indoors and outdoors. And then I think with doing so, individual accolades will come with. Like you mentioned earlier, I opened up the season 764, which would have been a national record. So that's my goal for both hurdle races, indoor and outdoor, to break those and kind of, finally cement my name as one of the better athletes to come through Division III in track and field. But like I said, I'm a very team-oriented guy, and those are my main 2 goals, just to win indoor and outdoor, whether that's motivating others to be to their potential. But I love holding those trophies up, and I hate losing. So
yeah.
One
cool thing that I can only be at so many different meets, and obviously there's if the WIC, if you could see the spider web of where all the athletes are on a given week, it's ridiculous. Especially outdoors, you'd be like, oh well, they're in California, they're in Florida, and it's impossible to be at all these meets. So I get to see the WIC through the lens of photos. Mm-hmm. So I follow a lot of the photographers, and I follow that. One thing that I, probably one of the biggest compliments I can give you, Luke, is that when I see a lot of the photos of lacrosse, the jumpers, the throwers, the distance runners, even I believe you're probably at D3 Nationals cross country. I don't know if you were there this year or not.
I wasn't at Nationals, but I was at Regionals.
Okay. And I don't know, and I get photos mixed up, but one thing that I always notice of you, Luke, and I actually saw one this morning of one of the lacrosse jumpers, you're kind of right there. In a lot of stars and a lot of sports aren't like that. You were right there on the runway with your face looking down the runway with the big surprised look on your face, and I can tell you're bought into like everybody else's success. And one of the photos, probably one of my favorite photos from since I've started Notes from the Goats, is the photo of Ethan Gregg and Sam Blaskowski at Nationals, and they're screaming in each other's face.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite photos. It's definitely in my top 20 of like all-time photos, and I can see that same scenario playing out with like you and Grant or you and Aiden. The whole thing of like the 60-meter dash guy at some schools doesn't talk to the cross-country runner at some schools. Like it's a very normal scenario. And there's a lot of successful programs where they don't talk to each other. Like you don't even know, I'm sure at like a USC or a Florida, a lot of the sprinters don't know the distance guys.
Yeah.
They're just in different worlds. But a compliment that I can give you is that I know that everybody kind of knows everyone, and they know what's good or bad for that other person.
Yeah.
They know when somebody had a good or bad jump based on the distance or based on the throw, not just playing it by ear or asking them, was that good?
Yeah.
So that's a huge compliment for you. And also a thing that you're chasing that I want to highlight is you're chasing Marcus. Marcus holds the 110 hurdle record here, and I don't know if he was the first ever in Division III to go sub 14. He might have been. I don't know at the time. And you probably know this more than me because I haven't looked at it, but do you know what the Division III record is for the 110 hurdles?
I know Jameer Brown broke it last year from Rowan. I think it's 13.6 something. It might be 60.
So it's that low. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, 3/10 lower than when I was in school. When I was in school, me and Marcus graduated at the same time in 07. And when he broke 14, we thought Marcus walked on water at the time.
Yeah.
Like it was almost unreal that a D3, because that could get you, that was top 2 at any D1 school at the time. So I think that was kind of cool. So that's on the plate. And if you were to break the national D3 record, obviously you have to be sub that. So it'll be an interesting to go after. And he's back, correct? Was he a freshman last year?
No, he transferred to Syracuse.
Okay, so he did go D1.
Yep, he went D1.
Was he a freshman last year?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, so all right, gotcha. In the next section, I want to go over, or anything else besides team titles. You have mentioned a couple things to me. I don't know if you want to bring up. Is there any big meets that you're excited to run in that aren't Division 3 indoor and outdoor nationals. What are some big meets that you're excited for?
Yeah, I'm going to Mankato this weekend with a couple other guys on the team, so that'll be fun. I know Mankato's got a good squad of hurdlers there, so good to get some competition. Got some other meets, not officially set in stone yet, so I don't want to put it on the air.
Okay.
But yeah, I plan on traveling either some point East Coast, South, out west, warm weather in the spring, just to kind of get some competition to push me along the way. But yeah, nothing 100% set.
I see a lot of the D2 guys, like the Parkside guys and the distance guys for here, and a lot of distance guys in the WIC when they want a big meet. Usually there's that. It's the same weekend as like Brian Clay Invitational. Yep. I don't actually know the names of it, so I'm not going to go on record and say the names of it. Yep. But there's like 3 or 4 meets that same weekend that are in California, where I know that you guys have went out and ran 5Ks, 10Ks. A lot of the guys for the cross-country team here have ran fast out there. So I want to get into your teammates. Yeah. And I know that teammates is a thing that when I interview some people at some schools, guess what? They're one-man shows. You know, like I've interviewed Nathan Cumberbatch at a time where he had a good team around him, but like the highlight of the team was him. And I think it's kind of special that you get to be on a team with people that have littered the record books. Yeah. So before I get into all your teammates, I want to ask you a question about one teammate or 2 teammates. You can highlight a couple if you want to. Yeah. But who are the 1 or 2 teammates that you feel has made the biggest impact on you as a person?
I don't think I can contribute that to one individual person. I feel like I've definitely taken blends of people and kind of made that and shaped that in myself. But guy who I've always looked up to and just how he handled all of his success was like Ethan Gregg, a kind of guy who's, you know, the best distance runner in the country, and he's just a normal guy. He'll talk to anybody. And that's something I've always really idolized about him, is that, you know, you could be cut from the team and not make the team here, and he's going to take the time to talk to you. And that's something I've really tried to be like, because I really looked up to him. Another guy you can't have a conversation without bringing up is Sam. He really just showed me that success is possible. Like, granted, we are at the Division 3 level, but he just kind of highlighted that, you know, even if I'm running at a D3 school doesn't mean that I can't be like a Division 1 talent type of person. You know, going to U.S. championships and that kind of stuff, being ranked like in the world and that kind of stuff. It's just the sky's the limit, and he's really kind of highlighted that to me. I can highlight so many other people. JT Zell, a captain that I was with for 2 years, just
the jumper,
Valter, just on the leadership side of things. Mathai twins on the school side of things. I don't think I can just say one person that's impacted my life, because there's so many of them. But I try to take bits and pieces of the people that mean a lot to me, and I try and replicate that and emulate and be like them, because, you know, if I find pieces of things that I like from others, those people will probably think the same of me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And those 2 guys. I mean, Sam. I know that, you know, controversial habit, but when he ran 9.99 down in Florida, you know, the wind that was behind him when he ran that and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, you still have to run it. And guess what? I couldn't run 10.5 even if a tornado picked me up and threw me down the track. Yeah. So, like, you know, you still have to be able to run that fast, you know, which is crazy. And I don't know the exact time, but I know that Ethan Gregg just ran a super fast half marathon in his pro career. I think he runs with Brooks now, or I don't know who he runs. I think it's Brooks. But, I mean, he got close to, I don't know if he broke 60 minutes. I don't know what his time was, 61 or 62 minutes or something like that. But I know he ran really fast in an opening.
Yeah, he's just
so, and I look forward to seeing that with a lot of the guys at UWL as they graduate. You know, I know Adam Lesner's going to start running with Driftless, and all those other guys. Wagner runs with Driftless and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun to see everybody mature after college. So that's exciting. Let's get into your team, and I want to kind of go through all the events.
Yeah.
There'll be people that I miss for sure because I can't remember everybody. And I'm going to keep it on the track right now just because, I could talk about the jumpers, and I know that the throwers are getting a lot better and the jumpers are getting better. And I know that there's going to be All-Americans in that group with Ben and Jake and all that kind of stuff for the throwing side. But let's start with the 100. A lot of people forget that, and I know that you probably do a lot of workouts with him. I actually, maybe not with him, but in the same group, but Smith. I like to talk about Ryder. People forget that I think when he first came here, he ran like 10:45. So that's something that I think he can bring back. There's no doubt in my mind that he can run 10:45 again. And you brought up Sam, so I'll talk about him for a second. I think now it's going to be more, everybody was betting on lacrosse. When they bet on lacrosse, they knew that Sam would bring in the 10 to 30 points outdoors as being a big part of the 4x1. Now they really view it as, can lacrosse win by a death by 1,000 cuts? Can they cut you everywhere? And not saying you're not going to score 10 points in multiple spots, but they view it as, we're going to get nickeled and dimed in every event. And so what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's hilarious. I think this team's better than our team was last year. Our depth is way better. I'm not going to put myself in the same box as Sam, but I think I can contribute just as many, maybe not as many points, but double-digit points at a national meet coming back. And everybody's gotten better. We've had guys that have been on the team forever, never make a national meet. A guy like Logan Powers, and he's ranked 3rd in the nation right now.
Right.
People are showing up out of nowhere, or quote, like on paper, they would be nowhere, and now they're nationally ranked guys. I think this group of guys has a chip on their shoulder from a team that's won 3 consecutive national titles. We don't think we have the respect that we think we deserve, because a lot of people have contributed to success to a guy like Sam, and a lot of people are, we don't have him, and they think that we're nothing without him, and we're excited about that because we haven't been underdogs for a while, and that gets us excited.
And you've won 3 in a row, and some of these guys have won 5 in a row.
Yeah.
With the cross country guys. Yeah. They've known, if you're a sophomore or anything like that, like maybe Chuck or something like that, all he has known now is national titles since he's been here. So I'm glad you brought that. I'm glad you talked about it, because so there's Smith, and obviously there's other good. I think Landon is cracked your guys' top 10 with like a 1060 something.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to find results on everything because the results are always changing. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a positive thing. So the leaders, obviously from the distance group, the whole roster of cross-country guys that ran at nationals, but the exception of 2 guys were seniors. You and Smith might be the most notable seniors on the track. Besides Chase, possibly. Chase is a senior. I think Colin has another year left after this. Yeah. So that's 100 guys, and I do say you're kind of stacked across the board. Chase and Colin are your guys' 400 runners, the leaders of that group, and right now they're currently ranked 3rd and 4th all time here. So the ranked number 1 and 2 guy, Rock, and I think Olson is ranked 2nd. They were guys that I got to watch firsthand run. They were like juniors and seniors when I was a freshman and sophomore. So I got to see those guys run. Tell me what those guys mean to the team.
Yeah, Chase and Colin they're freaks. They work, that quarter group works so hard, and there's a bunch of young guys underneath them, and that's a great group of guys. I think they've been so close to winning a 4x4 title for so many years, and have just always come up short, and they're excited for it this year. They're really working hard. Colin looks great. Chase hasn't ran yet, but he looks great, and we've got some other guys like Andrew Hackbarth also looks to be a really good spot, and I think that's going to be a good squad this year. I think it's going to be really good. Colin opened up with a national lead by over a half a second in the open 4.
Yep. I think right now it's him and Bender 1-2 or something like that.
Yeah, and Colin's just touching the tip of the iceberg right now with how good he can be. So really, really excited about that group.
Cool. And then we'll move up. This is the first year. I know he's a sleeper, but I got to see him perform in high school a ton, and I don't want to pronounce his last name wrong, but Parker is a really good runner in the 800. I think he's kind of overshadowed, obviously, by Cale. And I think when Parker was a freshman, he ran like 152. And so like that'll usually get you into nationals. I don't know if it'll get you into nationals this year or if he'll come down and run the 8 much. I believe Cale's won, I believe it's 4 or 5 national titles in the 8.
I think it's.
Is it 3?
I think it's 3.
Okay. So I don't know if he lost.
He lost outdoor last year.
As a
Junior.
Junior. Okay. Gotcha. And I didn't know his whole path. For a while there, I think he went on like an 18-month streak where he didn't lose. I think so. Maybe that's why I always thought it was a little bit more. But and I know this last year kind of sets the stage for this year. He started off so hot as a younger runner. Obviously, did great last year, but for him, taking 3rd or 4th in the nation is a loss.
Yeah.
You know? So like, how does Cale set the bar for you guys?
Yeah, he's a team captain as well on the team, and he started off the season by apologizing to the team that didn't win. That's kind of the standard that he sets for himself. He works super hard. We gave him the nickname Cale Showtime Showman because every time he steps on the track, you know he's going to win. He's a gamer. He always gets it done. You mentioned Parker Heinz, really good glue guy in that mid D group. Really hard worker. You haven't said their names yet, but the hurdlers, we have a funny practice group. It's me, Aaron Polma, and then 3 800 guys that Coach Buck also works with. And Tyler Hyman is in that group as well, one of those 800 guys, and he's something special, I think. Him and Cale are going to be really good in the 800 this year. So that's another group where we think we're super deep in and have some of the best guys in the country.
Yeah, and Cale, obviously, he owns WIC record book and lacrosse record book for the 800.
Mm-hmm.
He owns the record book there. From the 15 on up, it's the roster. So when I talk about the 15 on up, it is the record book. So besides Adam last year, the records are I think Jaden owns the 1500 record in mile if you consider both of them, and then the 3K steeplechase was owned by Adam, and Joey will have many cracks at that. Jaden will have many cracks at it this year to run faster. So be it. But the 5K, 10K guys, the twins, Aiden and Grant, Ethan, Greg, and the rest of the pack. Maybe the most deep distance field in Division III you have there. I also think you have a guy that's going to qualify for nationals outdoors. It hasn't qualified yet, but your deck guy Nolan. I think that he's somebody that on the right day, a couple events go his way finally. I've watched his career unfold. I think he's a 6,600 guy, and I think he gets it done. And he gets to nationals and places this year. Yeah. So I think he's an exciting guy. Besides Tyler, I coached against Tyler his entire high school career when he was at Arrowhead. So I saw that. It wasn't a surprise to me when he came here and he starting to do well finally. Give me 3 or 4 guys that no one's going to talk about that's going to be at indoor or outdoor nationals.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 is not enough. I don't want to do any of these guys disservice. Jake Gardner will be there. Shot put thrower. He's finally figured it out, not just physically, but he's bought in. He's figured that out. Another guy, Mitch Eldridge in the high jump, just crazy potential. He's just missing a couple things in meets, but he'll be there for sure. I could say anybody of our young sprints crew. We've got 8 freshmen or sophomores on the team, and they're all already running 680 in the 60.
That have never been to nationals?
No, they're all young guys.
Okay.
So it could be, I mean, any of those guys. Landon Galloon I think he already qualified on Saturday. He's gonna be a stud.
And he wasn't part of any of your 4x1s in the past?
Nope, he wasn't on the team last year.
I think I'm getting Landon's mixed up.
Yeah, Landon and Linden.
Okay.
Gosh, we got our pole vaulters. I could see 3 more guys that have never been to a national meet qualify.
Say his name for me. He's the one that 2 weeks ago he went like 5'10".
Toomey.
And
Yeah,
I always say his
Andrew
name.
Tuminaro has been a multiple-time All-American. Connor Boyle just vaulted 5'10" in a meet the other day. Gavin Lang just vaulted 490. We've got that vault crew that they're deep this year, and so they're going to be sending a crew of guys to the national meet. Our jump squad is super, super deep as well. So
maybe the deepest event at UWL for both sexes is like if you bring them both together, women and female. I mean, female and male, the vault might be the most stacked.
They're
because there's maybe 6 people at nationals from lacrosse in the vault.
Yeah, we've got 6 guys on the roster, and they all have a very strong shot of making the national meet. I mean, if everything sticks how it went last year, we've already got 4 in after our first meet.
Yeah.
So, great group of guys there. They work super hard. So proud of them.
All right, and so we did talk about Jake. We could talk about the jumps as well. I know that Sebastian's coming back from an injury. He's an All-American long jumper. I think he took like 7th or 8th last year indoor. He's coming back from an injury. I talk to him often. The guys I talk to the most from lacrosse are probably Jake, and Sebastian reaches out to me often. We talk back and forth. And then just a conglomerate, just a lot of other guys reach out. But those are the guys I talk to the most. I know Jake's bought in, and I know Jake wants it probably just as bad as everybody else. But he's definitely one that tells me about all the things he's doing wrong versus the things he's doing right. And that's, that's the key thing is like as a coach myself, if you're telling me about all the things you're doing right, you're probably doing a lot wrong.
Yeah.
So like you highlight the things you're doing wrong more than not. Who's the most? We'll take one from high school and one from college. Most impactful high school coach you had? Did you have a dedicated hurdles coach at Schwabena?
It's my dad.
Oh, okay, it was.
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of a. You can't say your dad. Who's the best coach you had in high school?
I love my head coach. He was very similar to me. Goofy guy, just loves having fun. Always told me how good I was going to be, even if I didn't believe it. But I would say David Coates. He was, I think he's number 2 all time in the 400 here, number 3 all time in the 200 here.
Open?
In the 90s, open. He ran 46 flat in the open 400 in the 90s.
Say his name again, Coates?
David Coates. Yeah, Coat Dog. He was our sprints coach at Schwabena. Did not have a lot of talent at that school, but he always had a state 4x4 together, upperclassmen that were pretty fast, and he was something special. College side of things, obviously I would say Buck. Very laid back coach, just kind of lets me be myself. Very open to changing practice plans around what I think I need at the time or whatever.
And what does he coach? Short sprints?
Buck is the head coach, and then when I transferred in, he took over the hurdles. Never coached hurdles before. But currently he's the hurdles and 800, shorter 800.
So you never
guys.
worked directly with Guthrie, or do you?
I worked under Guthrie my first year here, my sophomore year, when I was training with the quarter squad. But now I'm completely with Coach Buck, and so that's a good group of guys to work with. But before I transferred in, my offensive coordinator when I was playing football, Coach Frichty, I was a scary man, but he really shaped me into, just being disciplined and that kind of stuff, and just having respect for everybody, and really made me who I am, even in the short time that I was over there. Okay.
Last couple of things I really want to hone in on are the fact is that you didn't start here, and a lot of people don't know that because of what you've accomplished already while you've been here. Talk to me about senior year of high school, and talk to me about the process of where you went and then why you came here.
Yeah. So I was always a football guy. Always thought I was going to go play football somewhere. COVID happened, and we didn't have our senior football season. So I was kind of getting recruited off of film where I wasn't at my best. So I ended up going Division II scholarship out in South Dakota, Northern State University. Ended up choosing that school because, like I said, our offense coordinator, he played in the NFL. Reminded me
a lot of the system that I had in place before that, and they really liked me. Basically told me I was going to be starter week 1, which the other schools couldn't promise. And so I ended up going out there. Really nice facilities, beautiful football facilities. But then they ended up bringing in a transfer receiver a week before school started, and he was a freak. And so I got 2 concussions, didn't play a snap all year, kind of had to medically retire from football. And so then I ran track that year, and goals just weren't aligned. I've always wanted to be a championship program. That's why I'm here. And, our goals, that wasn't the goals out there. I said I wanted to be a conference champion, and they told me I was being too ambitious, and that pissed me off. And so lacrosse was kind of always a backup plan for me. I never wanted to go here just because both my parents went here, and I didn't want to deal with those expectations. And then all of a sudden something clicked to me, and I said I want to go to a program that wins, because I've never been on a winning team in my life. Never won a conference championship or anything before I came to school.
Because it was rough. Schwabenon was tough, right?
Schwabenon, terrible school.
Yeah.
And so I came here and just got a taste of what winning is like and fell in love with it.
Kind of never looked back.
Never looked back.
Yeah, and so because we've talked multiple times about some of the things that your first year of college track, where they were having you, do the triples of 110 hurdles, 400 hurdles, 4x4,
4x1, yeah.
Yeah, so they're putting you through kind of the opposite of what lacrosse really likes to do. When I think of lacrosse, I think of guys, real high impact guys racing every 14, 16 days.
Yeah.
Never, why are we running back to back? What championship are we winning, in May? The early, not May, but the early spring.
Yeah.
What are we winning now? Nothing, So I think that's important. And when you're not aligned with your college coach, it's tough.
Yeah.
Bumping heads and things like that. So I want to mention this just for Rich's fact, because he probably never gets any shout-outs, but your high school football coach, I think your junior year, there was a span of, was it 6 to 8 weeks? I think you were leading the state in receiving. I think that right, even at a Schwabenon.
Yeah, we had a great quarterback, and him and I had a good connection.
Yeah, so I think everybody bumps head with Razor, Rich, your head coach. Mm-hmm. And so he was my backup quarterback in college, and I just always thought that it was funny that he coached there, and it just so happens that you were with him or under him at that time. I just thought it was fun. Any thoughts of what do you have to say about Rich?
Yeah, he's a goofy guy for sure. Spent 2 years with him as a head coach. Just kind of pushed me to be better. I don't know much else to
it's
say.
okay.
Yeah.
He played with an NFL wide receiver, Derek Stanley, at the time. He got drafted by the Rams, so he knew how to push guys, because he'd be yelling at Derek Stanley in practice that he's running the wrong route or the wrong stem or something like that.
Yeah.
And if you're yelling at that guy, you have no problem yelling at high school kids.
Yeah. So. No, he not that I'm a diva by any means, but he kind of turned me into having that side of things, because he was a run first type of coach, and I wanted the ball as many times as I could get it, and so he got me comfortable being able to voice my opinion when I don't agree with things necessarily, which you could see of it as a negative, but nowadays it helps me with in my track career, because I have no problem voicing my opinion if I don't agree with something going on, and so I definitely feel like I developed that with him being my coach.
Sure. That's basically all. That's all the things I really wanted to highlight and talk about. I do want to mention that I do this with everybody that I sit down and talk to. I printed off a photo. One of my favorite photos of Luke is here. Is this sophomore nationals?
Junior year. That's at Myrtle Beach when I had food poisoning. So nice. I look pretty thin.
Show it to the camera. Nice. So I usually have people sign that just so I can keep them in. I have a small Hall of Fame that I have building. So I'm going to let you sign that. We're sign it down there wherever you want to. And then I want to pray for you, Luke.
All right.
I want to pray for the team. Sweet. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And then I want to pray for you, Luke. So let's bow our heads. Luke, I hope that you have immense success this year, not only indoors and outdoors, but when you attack other goals that you've mentioned to me. I hope you're able to achieve them, and I hope God opens the right doors for you at the right time. So even if he closes some doors, that you know that others will open. The biggest thing that I pray for everyone for is health, not only for you and your teammates, but I pray for health for everybody inside of Wisconsin, because I love watching people compete against the best when they're feeling their best and everyone's just healthy. So I pray for health for you guys. Other than that, I hope school goes well. I hope that you're able to attack the things that you want to attack when you can attack them. So, and Lord, in this name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Yeah.